Now then, it's January 2021 and we're in lockdown again because of the virus, so therefore we'll continue with this series, Home Life in Lockdown, again. And no doubt it'll be different from the last lot because it's a different year and it's just starting to, the nights are drawing out a little bit. It was bitterly cold the last few days. The water butts were solid ice and stuff like that, but let's hope it's improving. It's bound to be. So with that, and hopefully you can go back and watch all of Home Life and Home Life in Lockdown series. They're all in one playlist. But let's crack on. Now then, we're in the glass house, so it's a bit echoey. We are in the third week of January and it's time to sow some more winter lettuce and also get the leeks on the go. We're in the glass house, as I said. It's quite blowy outside, but it's not too strong a wind that you wouldn't want to come in here. If it's blowing a gale, you don't want to be in a glass house for obvious reasons. Anyway, let's crack on with this because this is a whole new year and the nights are already drawing out. It's getting dark about sort of just before 5 o'clock now, and the amount of light available will accelerate, which is brilliant, and hopefully nicer weather will come with it. So we'll just crack on with this little job. But just whilst we're here, those are some winter lettuce that were sown, I really don't know, maybe September, and then potted on, and of course they've grown quite slowly, but yeah, we shall get some lettuce from those in the next month or so, which is great. Yeah? So I really like this variety. I'm not quite sure what it is, but we call it winter lettuce because that's what it does, and it doesn't like the heat. And just coming down again, we've got the Monterey Cypress there. Brilliant, aren't they? Those of you will remember the video did about Monterey Cypress. Beautiful timber and a good habitat tree because it's a bit like Leylandi, so you've got all that big dense crown for birds to nest in and what have you. Right, let's go and have a look at this sowing the seeds. So this is some compost from the big compost heap from the other side of the field, which again I showed last year in Home Life in Lockdown. So that's been riddled. It's a little bit damp, but it'll be fine. And we've got some leek seeds here. Autumn Mammoth. I think we might have some homegrown leek seeds as well, but I'll do these to start with. Let's just tamp that down a little bit. Leeks tend to germinate quite slowly, and they also, well, they just take their time, put it like that. So you've got to start early, and these will go, oh, there's not many seeds, but that's a good start. These will go in the conservatory, or maybe even in the house for the first week or two, just to get them germinating. A bit of sand might have been better on the top of that. I'll just go and get some. Oh no, I've got a bit of dry here. There we go, and I think actually that compost is damp enough, so it probably doesn't want washing in. And let's just do some winter lettuce. This is homegrown seed. You don't want too many seeds in here. That'll do. And I'll get a bit of that dry composty soil. That'll do. We've already got a label. So that's a start. So it's the 22nd of January and a few weeks ago now, before Christmas, I moved some of the strawberry plants over to this patch here. I dug some muck into there and put some strawberry plants there, so hopefully they'll be established and grow on. And we got the other strawberry patch the other side of the veg plot, and a lot of the leeks are finished now, but we have some that I grew on later in the year and they're growing on reasonably well. They're about 1 inch in diameter, but the interesting thing is over there, and these were planted I think probably late November, is the garlic. And this was just, we went to a local veg shop and got some cloves of garlic, and there they are. And those shoots now are about a good 2 inches high, and they're planted in mounds because this is sort of cold, wet ground this time of the year. But it seems to be working. They're moving on. Just over here we've got a bit of purple sprouting. Just trying to see where I am. There we are. And that should start sprouting shortly. So it's a lovely sunny day and fairly breezy, but not as breezy as it was in the last few days. So that's just a bit of an update. It's the same day, 22nd of January, but we're in the woods. And I think things are starting to slowly wake up, but it's early days. I'm just looking over here. These spirals, I think that's a hazel in there. But the next tube, that is a Can we see it? Yes, we can. That is a walnut, and it was only about 10 inches high last year, just above where the tree tie was against the stake. And look how much it's shot up. So obviously it likes it in this little clearing. And we've got a whole load of ash regeneration there. We'll just wait to see which ones die off because of the ash dieback. And this here is a coast redwood, Sequoia sempervirens. So that's doing very well as well. And then the next one, that's a Monterey pine. And we're on the northern edge. I don't want to turn around because we'll face the sun, but we're on the northern edge of a little clearing. And so this sort of edge here gets a lot of sun, which is why all these ash regen here. But I've just noticed on this one here we've got some of the lesions, but that looks like canker rather than ash dieback, but we shall see. Anyway, wandering on. There's a couple of nice oaks down here. That's not a bad one, apart from those side branches. And just in there, if we can see, I can't see in the viewfinder because of the sun's in the wrong place, but there's an oak there with a nasty fork in it. That's going to come out because, as we know, in this area, and we've seen it before, trees with major forks, you end up snapping out with the wind. And just down here, some snowdrops showing their face, so it won't be long before we get some flowers from them, which is great. It goes along with the day length getting longer. And here we've taken out some very scabby cherries, and we're going to plant this area up with hazel. And there's already some planting here, just a few. We'll get the hazels in there. They're healed in the veg plot at the moment. But I've got to go across the other side of the wood now to show you something. So I'll be back to you in a second. That sun has really come out now. We've got some strangely deformed, whoops, tripping over, hornbeams here. Really odd looking things. But that's not what we've come here to see. Let me fight my way through here. Here we go. I'll just put the tripod down. Now, that oak tree there has got a white mark on it, showing it's a sort of an interesting tree worth pruning. But next to it, and I've actually marked it in yellow, and we've had all these storms the last week or so. There we go. That was a fork in a crown and it split out. So I'm going to have to get the winch out to safely pull that over. Fell it in a normal way, but just have a winch there so that I can control it a bit more, because otherwise it's not going to come down. But you can see it is really split out quite badly. But that's still attached, both sides are still attached. So I don't think it poses an extreme hazard when you put a felling cut in, but it needs to be pulled over or else it'll just sit there and do nothing. Anyway, so there you go. I think we had one of these last year, didn't we? In Home Life in Lockdown, which is a series that if you've not seen it is well worth seeing. So whilst we're here, there's a cherry stump there. There was a big horrible hairy cherry with some canker on it. Where are we? Yeah. So that came down, and it needed to because it was interfering with some of the crowns above. But we've got, where are we? We've got quite a nice oak there, and as you see it's marked. And it's pretty good. Yep. Not too many major forks. And coming round, we've got a nice one here which is equal to that, and I'm just going to move sideways. And next to that is a Douglas, which ain't bad at all. So it's up there, but now it's been released, I can see that all these dead branches need to come off. It's a little bit large, or larger than I would like, but it's still not too bad. You know, and it may be that this will never get felled or something like that, or get felled in the future prematurely. Who can tell what will happen in 25 years time? But I'm going to remove all those lower branches. Why is that? To get rid of those dead knots, because those little branches there will stay for a long time. Let me just get this camera sorted out. And of course the tree grows round them. So I'll just show you that, how strong they are. Yeah, and then we'll prune them off. See? And they will stay for a long time. All of them are really rock solid in there, and the trees growing round them. And I did do a video about dead and live knots. Actually, I think I covered a bit of it in one of the Home Life in Lockdowns. So I will see if I can find that and put yet another link in there. But let's just prune these off. So I've got the silky saw and I got the helmet on just because, not that the branches are big enough to give me any damage, but it's a force of habit. So there you go. Pruned up to as far as I can get. That's pretty good. You only have to do it once per tree when it's this state, and they're all dead knots because they've been shaded out. So any timber that grows beyond that will be clean, knot free, and in a couple of years' time that's going to be glorious. Yeah, you'll go, look at that lovely knot free timber. Right, let's crack on with something else. I've just cobbled this together. We have a thermostat there and a tea urn, and this is set at 70 degrees C, and we have some cider that I bottled a few weeks ago, maybe 3, maybe even 4, and it had some sugar added to it, but I want to pasteurize it now, so just put these glass bottles in here. We've got one bottle that's just gone pop by the looks of it. Never mind. And we just put those in there. They've got crown corks on them. Yes, there's a smell of cider now. And we'll just put this top on and we'll leave it for about 10 minutes. And the reason I know that it's ready is because I put some of it in these plastic bottles and you can feel the pressure. It's not solid, but you can feel pressure in there. So that's an indicator. Well, that's the way I do it anyway. All you want is for it to not use all of the sugar up, and that way the cider is not so rip-snortingly sharp. Right, where are we? 10:51. We'll leave that till 11 o'clock. So there you go, that's 10 minutes. And of course the reason why I'm doing it now is threefold, or more probably. One, if you continue to let these ferment, you could end up with a situation where the glass smashes under the pressure. Number 2, it's ready. That's probably the same as number 1. Number 3 is it's a sunny day. Although it's a bit cold, it's sunny, and so therefore the solar is generating very well. Cold panels and bright sunshine, good generation. So this tea urn is effectively running on solar. Is that all of them? I can't see because my glasses are all steamed up. I think that one there is the one that cracked. Okay, let's have another go. I think there's another bottle there. There is. There's another 2. Yep, that'll do. Right, let's put some more in. I've got another crate, but it was bottled. We've got one that's just fallen over. It was bottled a few weeks later, so it's going to take a bit longer. Perhaps if I lower these in gently, that will reduce the firm or shock. Is that one hot? That one's hot. Now I'm not sure what would happen if I lowered one of these plastic bottles in here. I'm assuming it would just expand. Let's just experiment for a minute. I can see it fizzing inside. That's the cider, I mean. And see the effervescence rising. I'm imagining it would just do that. But there's only one way to find out, isn't there? It's like experimenting with grid inverters and all those sorts of things. If you're not sure, you've got to have a go, but in the safest way possible. Right, it's 11:04. I'm going to keep an eye on that. Right, this is interesting. Let's zoom down on that. That's had about 5 minutes. See, it's all bubbling like mad, and I don't know whether you can see, but the label is restraining the plastic. Yeah, it's swollen a bit, so if it wasn't for that band of plastic label, that would be a bit of a different size, so I think that's enough. And there's quite a lot of leaf litter and sticks building up on this woodland floor, which means obviously the woodland soil is building since we planted in 1988. But this is what we've come to see this morning. Now, can you see that ridge there? And on the left hand side of that, there's an area that goes all the way up the tree to the crown that doesn't seem to have grown. And I think that is evidence of bacterial canker, because I'm looking up in the crown and you can see all those knobbly bits on all the branches, and the end of the branches don't look that good. And it's not ash dieback, it's bacterial canker. Now, I know what it's like when I zoom up to the crown, so I'm going to move backwards and give it a go from a different angle. So that's the tree there, and I've got this camera set on backlight, but I don't know how it will work. But you can see there's the crown. It's still gone dark and horrible. Hopefully you can see all those cankers on those branches. Anyway, it's coming down. It's part of the thinning. So we shall have a look once it's down on the floor. So that was a split level cut because the tree was slightly leaning backwards. I'll just sort out this and I'll get back to you shortly. So that's down, and here I've just cut a cross section of that tree, and as you can see, a little bit grew out the front and a bit grew out the back, and the middle there was nothing happening at all. Just it was dying on its feet. And when you look up, I'm not about to do that with the camera, there's not very much of a hole up there, so the surrounding trees can get away a bit more. Where are we? All that dark staining there is where the rot's about to start. Good, I'll finish breaking up this crown, stack this, and then there's a stag-headed oak over there that is virtually dead. I mean, we planted these trees fairly close, not excessively close. Now let me see, there it is. Camera's on the angle, but you have to excuse that. That stag-headed oak there is underneath the canopy, and it's slowly being shaded out. And behind it there is that Douglas that we pruned up, if I can see it. I think it's there, that's it. And one of the branches off this stag-headed oak is going into that Douglas crown. So that's the next one. I'm really doing a crown thinning, just trying my best to keep the best trees and giving them space. Right, I'll just crack on with this. This succulent is flowering again. Isn't that marvellous? This time of the year. We just have to protect it if it gets really cold like it did last week. Put a covering over it at night. And anyway, round here, and I'm just going to move the camera. We have the potatoes that are chitting in full light. Yeah, and of course last week I had to cover them up because of the frost. And next door to that is the lettuce that I sowed earlier on, and again they've come off the windowsill in the house as they've germinated, and they need to be full light to avoid the plants getting very leggy. So we're in the conservatory here, so that'll do well. So that's the first episode of the 2021 Home Life in Lockdown again. I think the whole scenario is not going to go away very rapidly. They will not go back to the old norm, which is a good thing because the old norm was a bit decadent in a lot of ways. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this and been inspired by a few things, because that's what it's about. It's about saying, hey, there is a different way. So catch up with you soon, and cheers for now.